Hello and welcome once again. Today in this video I'm going to show you how I made this really fluffy old English sheepdog, and it was really fascinating to try and I really enjoyed the process. And as you can see, he's really fluffy and he's got detailed paws as well, so I tried to cram in as many details as I could. He's got long ears and they are fluffy too, fluffy tail, and it took quite a while, but I'm pleased with the results and I hope you like the process. Let's get started. I've taken 2 pipe cleaners and right from the center I've started twisting them up, and this is going to be the part of the body, so I'm twisting as much as I want the body to be. It's around 6 centimeters, and the rest of the pipe cleaners I'm going to make the legs by twisting them back towards the inside, towards the body, so I haven't got the sharp end poking out. So haven't speeded up this part so you can see how I twist them. Just have to pinch from where you begin, and the other end you have to tightly twist around itself, and that is going to form the leg. So I'm doing the same with both of them, and then I'm going to cover them with some core wool. You have to make sure that it's tightly twisted so it doesn't come off the other way. So you can see how I twist it. And it's all going to be covered. This way it's a more solid body than using just a single pipe cleaner. So this is a bit more firm, because pipe cleaners, if you use a single layer, they're quite flimsy. So I've taken corytail slivers, and slivers are the best for working on armatures, and it's really easy to wrap around the pipe cleaners as it holds the wool very well. So I'm going to cover the whole thing, starting with the legs, just felting down some bits so it's secure. I'm going to speed up the process and show you the wrapped body, because you just have to wrap around and go thicker on the body and bend the legs, or the video would have been really long. So now I'm making the paws. I'm adding some more wool right down to the end of the legs. I'm going to work on the paws first. So just wrapped some more wool, and I'm giving it a flat end. And the legs are going to be thicker, but first I just want to get the paws done. Here I'm wrapping more wool around the legs, and I'm going around them, forming the hip area. In the same way I'll do it on the other side, and that will form the neck and the chest. I'm adding more wool to the legs to make them a bit more thicker. Now the paws are done, and they have a flat end to them. So I'm going to just mark the paws with a marker. I'm using my watercolor markers, just making tiny toes. And it's easier if you have marked them, so you know exactly where you have to put the dark colored wool in. With these marked, I'm going to use some dark colored wool. I've got a really dark brown color, and I've taken just a little shred, putting it in to make the paws. This is the pad, and then I'm going to make the little tiny parts. The little toes, I think you call them. I've taken really tiny shred of wool, and it will be showing from the other side, but don't worry about that because we have to cover it with the fur anyways. So the top of the paws will be covered with wool. To take really tiny shreds, so I've got some wool, roll them in my finger, and I'm putting it in. The pieces of wool are so tiny that I'm just using the needle to handle them. Because I don't want them to be too big. This is what I was telling you, that they're gonna come out on the other end, but we're gonna cover them up. So let's not worry about that at this stage. With all four done, now we're going to shape the little toes, and just have to snip them between the toes. Don't snip too much, but mine are really small. You can make a bigger dog if you want to. And then you just have to felt it down inside the cuts to form the little toes. And just get them rounded with the needle. They won't be showing, but I wanted to get the details in. This is the second dog I've done. The first one was a poodle, and he sold off on Etsy. It's gone somewhere in Canada. So just making a little snip with the scissor makes a lot of difference. Now I'm going to make the head, rolling some wool, and have to keep the body with me just to see how big it has to be. So it's going to be an oblong shape, the shape of the head of a dog. It really helps if you've got some pictures of the dog right in front of you. I've got some open on my laptop. So I'm just shaping the muzzle. I'm using a multi-tool to speed up the process. And as you can see, I've got the muzzle and the head in one part. You can make it in two if you want. Make a round head and make a muzzle separately and then attach it. So I'm just shaping it with my needle, where the nose is gonna be and where the eyes will be placed. You can do a lot of shaping with your fingers. Now I'm going to attach the tiny glass eyes. Now the ones I've got are transparent, so just added some black color using a marker. The head seemed small, so I've added more wool to it. Now I've attached the head to the body, making some ears with gore wool. Just checking how big I want them, and as they are going to be fluffy as well, I need to attach some fur to them. Adding some more wool on top of the eyes to form eyelids or the brow. I've made a nose using black colored wool, and it's just a basic nose. I wanted to make one with polymer clay, and I don't know if I'll use this one or the one I make with clay, because it's the first time I'm going to try out nose using clay. So here I'm adding fur to the ears first. Just taking little pieces of wool and felting them right down the middle in a line, and then felting it down from both the ends so it's secure. Then I'm going to give it a trim. They look too big, so I'm just trimming off the extra fur. So I've made the nose, but I don't know if I'm going to attach it. I'll decide at the very end. I will do videos on polymer clay once I get used to it. Till now I've just made a nose and really tiny sheep, legs of a sheep. So I'm gonna try that out, and if it works I'll do a video on it. So I'm attaching some grey fur to the body, and I've started from the very back. And as this is a carded wool, it looks a bit rough. You can use merino if you want. I don't want it to be too thick, so I've got some gap in the middle. But I'm going to fill it if I think it's necessary, or if the white is showing. So I've made 2 layers with a lot of gap, but I think I'm going to add another layer right in the middle, because I tend to add too much fur and then the piece becomes a bit too fluffy and thick. That didn't seem right, so I just pulled it out. I'm adding more, and this is one side of the dog, and I'm going to do the same on the other side, right close to where I started before. So this gap seemed a bit more than was needed, so I'm adding another layer right in the middle. This is carded wool. It looks quite thick. So I've started off with the white part. And this is the front part of the dog. I'm going to layer it up around the neck. So the face is done right at the very end, and that's the best part of adding fur. I really enjoy it. I can't wait to get to the last part. And I still find the trimming part the most trickiest. Attaching fur takes a lot of time. It's easy but very time consuming. So I'd forgotten the mouth. Just felted a piece of wool and I'm attaching it right to the muzzle to give it a mouth. With the fur attached, I'm seeing where the ears will go. Now it's the trimming time. I'm just trimming off some of it, and then I'll get to the head. Looks really shabby at this point. You have to cut big bits off. And you can see how I'm placing the scissors so it looks natural. So you shouldn't have a straight line, just to give it a natural look. You need to get a hang of it after you made a couple of items with the fur. I don't know if I've shown you the legs. attached fur to the legs as well. Because it's a really fluffy dog. I think I've just missed out making a video of attaching fur to the legs. It's just that I took bits of wool, and just as you attach the fur, I've done all around the legs, and the hind legs are grey and the front legs are white, and then needs a good trim. Now attaching the ears first to the head, and then I'm going to start adding the fur. So now you have to be careful of the direction. The back of the head, the fur goes down the neck, and if you have the photographs of the old English sheepdog, you'll see that he has a kind of a middle parting on top of the head. So once I'm done with the back side of the neck, I'm going to attach fur to the top part with the middle parting. So I'm attaching fur on both the sides. And you can make it as fluffy as you want. So I'm adding layers. And then the forehead, it has to come down to the eyes. So you can see the direction. I've changed the direction of the fur I'm attaching, and I think that is the most trickiest part, is the face of any animal that you're doing, because you have to like take care of the direction of the fur you attach to it. So with the sheepdog, it has all the hair coming down on its eyes, so that's how I'm going to attach the fur. Looks really shabby at this moment, and the same way with the nose. I'm doing it right from the middle, like a middle parting, and attaching fur on both the sides, and it's going to go down the sides of the muzzle. So I've taken really small strands so it doesn't become too thick. And I'm still not sure if I'm going to add the polymer clay nose to it at this point. I'll see when it's all done. Oh, I went off the camera again. Just attaching fur to the muzzle. Sorry about this part, but you don't miss too much because just attaching fur, and it's a repetitive thing that you do. You just have to be careful of the direction. So it has to go all around the nose. The fur going down has to go down the lower part of the nose, and the upper part of the nose, it has to go up. Now I'm felting down to give it shape because it's too fluffy. So I'm just felting down some of the fur so I can see the muzzle. Although I've given it a trim, but I'm still just using my needle very lightly. I'm using an eyebrow brush, and I'm felting around the eyes as well so I can see the eyes and the shape. Now I have to make the tail. So just a piece of wool, the carded wool slivers, and making a rectangular shape. I'm going to attach fur to it. I've taken longer than I need, giving it a rounded edge. So I'm starting with grey, and I'm going right down the middle, and I'm felting down some of the grey as well so the white doesn't show. As you can see, I'm felting the sides as well, and just left the fur that is sticking out. I'm going to give it a trim at the very end. And when I felt it right around the middle, I'm going to take some of the grey and the white. Two will go in this direction. Now I'm going to take some of the grey and attach it right in the middle and in a direction that will go down, so the tail looks really fluffy and you can't see the parting line right in the middle. So it's covering the line as well as giving it more body. So this I've learned with experimenting. Same way with the tip with white wool. Now I've got a fluffy tail. I'm going to give it a trim. And I can see that the back part doesn't look really nice with all the grey sticking out, so I don't need such a long tail. I'm just going to trim off some part, and I'm going to cover the rear part with some grey. After I've covered it with grey, I'm attaching it to the bottom, the bum of the dog, and I'm adding more grey fur to it so you can't see the joining and you can't see the white part of the body. Now it needs a final trim. I need to gain more confidence in chopping off more wool because my pieces tend to be more fluffier than I want them to be. And for when I find them too fluffy, I've chopped down the lower layer of the fur. So just brushing them out, and you can trim off as much as you want. So he's all done now. I think he looks pretty neat. And thank you very much for watching, and do subscribe for more. Thank you very much.